Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, 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 geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new edition of Geek to Me Radio. Today we'll be joined by Jeff Smith, talking about his brand new documentary on the making of the movie Clue, Who Done It. We'll get into his interviews, all that he's found out, and more. Later we'll be talking to sound engineer and producer Brian Riordan about his work on the new streaming Netflix, Peacock series.
We're talking TV,
All that and more. Stand by.
and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek and Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight, hearing us live on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're streaming us out there in the world on the KTRS app or on the website, hello to you. No video tonight. We're not streaming on Twitch or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube like we normally are. Joey V, my brilliant executive producer, needed the night off. It's Oscars night. I know that's a very sacred time to some people. So, of course, Joey V is watching the Oscars, and we will be back up and streaming next Sunday. As I always say, I wouldn't be able to do this show without him, so I'm only half doing the show, I feel like, because he's not right across from me. It feels weird, but we'll be glad to welcome Joey back next Sunday. We are going to start the segment off with our brand new feature, Geek Trivia, with our new partner, Kokomo Toys in Kokomo, Indiana. If you're in the area, I cannot recommend highly enough going by to check it out right there on Geek Street, as it's affectionately known. We were coming back from Holland, Michigan, and I remember it was kind of adjacent to coming back to St. Louis. So we made the little extra trip, and I'm so glad we did. It's a fantastic place. It's toy goals. Anybody who collects toys, this is like the mecca of where you want to go. So they were kind enough to say, yeah, we'd love to partner with you. They sent me a big box full of stuff to give away. So now every Sunday we're going to kick the show off with Geek Trivia. Here is your trivia question. If you are the first person to text me the correct answer at 84126, you will get the prizes that I'd previously posted on Twitter. It's 2 5-inch Funko Pop bobbleheads. Since we're in the last part of March Madness, I thought we'd give away those NBA official Funko Pops for the end of March Madness, kind of commemorate it. And the question to which you must answer the trivia is, what 1997 film did Shaquille O'Neal portray a superhero who first appeared in Superman comics? What 1997 film did basketball star Shaquille O'Neal first portray a superhero? The superhero first appeared in Superman comics. First person to text us the correct answer to that question with the name of that movie at 84126 will be the winner of that prize pack. We'll get that sent out to you right away. Once again, thanks to Kokomo Toys, our new partner for Geek Trivia, sponsored here each week. Without further ado, we'll get right to my next guest. We've got him on the phone right now, Jeff Smith, talking about his brand new documentary he's doing on one of my very favorite movies, Clue. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to hear it's one of your favorite movies, too.
Oh, I was just talking to the last show host, Outdoors Dan. He does a hunting and fishing show right before me. And I said, if someone were to press me and say, name a perfect movie, Clue would be on my short list.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites too. I mean, if it wasn't, I don't know what I've been doing the last 5 years, but no, Clue is pretty amazing.
So what prompted you to decide, obviously, all sorts of movies out there, people are fascinated by movie trivia and all that. What prompted you to decide to make a full-on documentary about this particular film?
Well, about 5 years ago, I was watching about 5 years ago, a bunch of fan-made documentaries started coming out. There was The Shark is Still Working about Jaws. There was Back in Time, about Back to the Future. There was the Psycho Legacy, which was about all 4 Psycho movies. And I really enjoyed watching those. And then maybe the next day I was watching Clue for the 100th time. And I thought, wow, no one's really done anything. It's really hard if you Google Clue to learn anything about the making of the movie at all. And I thought, boy, it would be really nice if somebody did one of these great fan films about Clue. And I thought, I guess it might as well be me. I've got a film degree that I'm not using, so why not? And just almost spur of the moment, I started contacting the cast and crew members and flat out saying, getting a little bit ahead of the wagon, hey, I'm making a documentary about your movie. Can I interview for it? And then just kind of sent that out into the universe. And then the responses started coming back, and everybody was saying, yeah, sure. And I thought, oh, I guess I'm doing this. Oh, okay. So before I knew it, I was on my way to New York to go interview Jonathan Lynn, who is the writer and director of Clue. And then after that, Colleen Camp, who played Yvette. And then after that, Michael McKean and Leslie Ann Warren and Lee Ving. And it just kind of all of a sudden I was in the room with these people that I grew up, idolizing.
And obviously, COVID threw a wrench into a lot of projects for many people. Did you have all the interviews done pre-COVID? Was that part at least wrapped, or was there some arranging you had to do during our lockdown periods?
For the cast and crew, all of them that are in the documentary were done before, and there were some people, unfortunately, I was not able to get, and the pandemic certainly had a lot to do with that. And it would have been, it'd been nice if we could have done some Zooms. I'm still not giving up on a couple of actors. I've got a voicemail I have 2 voicemails actually from one cast member that we kind of were going back and forth on the phone, but never actually spoke to. And it's just so close. It's driving me crazy. But all those were done. And then since then, it's been 5 years. So some of the interviews I got to do with different folks have been over Zoom, and that's been nice. Just easier than traveling all over the place to try to get everybody in the room.
Was there a person, obviously you kind of were cryptic about who you got the voicemails from, so maybe you can't mention, so I'm not going to press you on that point, but was there one of the castmates who you said you've already gotten, was there one that you were very surprised that you were able to get?
Well, the person I was the most excited to be in the room with was Michael McKean, because I grew up watching Laverne and Shirley, so I love Lenny Squiggy. And one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm sure it's everybody's, is Spinal Tap.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And I had seen Spinal Tap live in concert at the Universal Amphitheater when that was a place, and I've seen them a couple times. And, I also love the Brady Bunch movie. There was a movie from '85 called Daryl that I watched a lot growing up that he was in. And even the Coneheads movie I like, and I know a lot of people don't, but I like the Coneheads movie too. So the hardest part about being in the room with Michael McKean was staying on topic, because I was there to talk about Clue, which I love, but his filmography is huge.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the hardest part. And then at the end, when we were wrapping up, he mentioned himself, he brought up that he didn't have to audition for Clue because Jonathan Lynn had seen him in another movie I did before that I had something to do with called Spinal Tap. And I'm like, like he said it, and I didn't have to prod him. But I love that he said it like, this other movie you may have heard of, this is Spinal Tap. I don't know if that rings any bells. Yeah, very aware, very aware.
I tagged Michael McKean in the pictures when I put the tweet out that I was going to have you on the show. And in the off chance that Michael McKean is listening, because I know we just had a friend of his, Jim Pittick, on the show a few weeks ago, and Michael McKean was nice enough to retweet me there. On the off chance that you're listening, Michael, I would love to have you on this show, and we talk about just about everything. So just putting it out into the universe, if nothing else. But yes, I can totally understand where it would be very hard not to want to talk about the Christopher Guest movies and everything else. So good for you for staying on topic.
Yeah. Oh, it was not easy. I mean, that's the thing with all these with all these cast members. Jeffrey Kramer, who plays the motorist, is a very small part in Clue, but he was in Jaws and Jaws 2. And the motorist, you could only ask so many questions about, you know, as far as his part. Hey, you showed up. Hey, then you died. Okay. So was your printing really that bad in Jaws that you couldn't make the sign that said no swimming hazardous area?
Well, I guess I don't know if death by wrench is preferable to death by shark. I don't know. That I guess would have been a question you could have asked him, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's such a, like I said, there's so many different ways you could go, and I love the fact that you got all these people, because it kind of boggles my mind too when I first started corresponding with you on Twitter that no one has done this yet. This movie is from 1985, brilliant ensemble cast. It has to be. I was trying to do some research before this show. It's got to be the most successful movie ever based on a board game, to my mind. Until that new horror film Chutes and Ladders comes out next year. But I can't imagine that no one else has attempted this before. That's insane to me.
Well, it really has made me nervous during this 5-year period that somebody hasn't, you know, also gotten the idea, because it seems very obvious to me as well.
Yeah.
That, you know, someone swooped in and went, well, here's my clue. And there have been a lot of really good YouTube videos, 10 things you didn't know about Clue and what they have happened in this movie. Like really good, 10-minute, 20-minute things that when they popped on my suggestions on YouTube, I'm like, oh no, oh no. And then I would watch it and I go, okay, that was really good, but that's not what I'm doing.
Right.
So, okay, we're still okay. But, when I started doing this in 2017, there weren't as many channels like Joe Blow and things like that do a lot of 80s retrospective things on movies that, like, when something pops up and it's something that I was thinking of maybe doing second, I go, okay, well, I'm not doing that one anymore, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I've been lucky.
And with the making a documentary has to be, I would think, challenging in and of itself, because it's not like making a film. Obviously, you kind of have to have connect all these interviews. You have to find a way to edit everything cleanly. So what has been, I would think, first, the biggest challenge would be actually landing the interviews and get everyone you wanted. But what is, other than that, have you found been the biggest challenge regarding this particular documentary?
The biggest challenge for me was I really didn't know what it was all going to be when I was going to put it all together. I didn't know what it was going to be. So when I had my list of questions, it was very generic. I wasn't going in any kind of direction. I wish I had interviewed the actors later instead of first, because I was just kind of asking, so what was it like working with Madeline Kahn? And just kind of went down the cast list. Mm-hmm. And this is not a spoiler at all. They all loved each other. So I knew this was not going to be a controversial, like, ooh, dirt on the set of Clue. No, they all, got along famously and had nothing but nice things to say about each other. So what I did discover, and maybe it's the good thing that came from having this take so long, was the documentary is kind of shaped into is making a lot of friends and meeting a lot of people. No idea loved this movie as much as I did. And not only just love it, but it's inspired their kind of their art as well. Like, I've talked to people that always wanted a T-shirt that says "Flames on the side of my face," and Clue doesn't have any merchandise, so they made an Etsy store. Or the soundtrack wasn't released in 1985, so La La Records has been releasing a lot of soundtracks in the last 10 years, and they went to Paramount and got all the score from Clue and released the soundtrack on CD, and then Mondo Records then released it on vinyl, limited vinyl, and they had 7 different colors of the record for each character.
Oh, neat.
And then after that sold out immediately, another company called Enjoy the Ride Records released it on vinyl, and it sold out like in 5 seconds. So the documentary kind of starts with the making of the movie, and everyone loved each other, and here's how we did it. And then it segues into just what it's become, way bigger than movies that, did much better than it did in 1985. But now, they have screenings all the time, and, and it's just, and we're talking about it now. I mean, Brewster's Millions is a great movie from 1985, but no one's
Right.
Started an Etsy store because they love. Well, maybe somebody has.
Not enough love for Brewster Millies. That's sad.
I agree. There should be a vote none of the above T-shirt. I'm sure there is somewhere.
Well, see, that'll be the subject for your next documentary. I think you could make a career out of just doing documentaries about 1985 films. I mean, that's
just 85. Well, 85. Yeah, 85 was a good year.
Seems like a niche you could fill. We're going to take a quick break. You're okay to come back and do a little bit more with us?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, perfect. We are talking with Jeff Smith currently, all about Who Done It, the Clue documentary he's working on. ClueDoc, ClueDoc.com is the website. You can check out more about that. We'll be right back talking with Jeff Smith after this. Please stand by.
Why, hello, this is Scott Innes, better known as the voice of Scooby-Dooby-Doo, like in Shaggy Doo, in Scrappy-Doo, in like you're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Right, Uncle Scoob? Right, Rappy? Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. We want to make sure we tell you about our official comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. Go to their website, bugscomicsandgames.com. From the website, no matter where you're located, you can buy variant covers that they have up on the website. If you're looking for a rare variant of some of the newer comics that have come out, if you are looking for some back issues and kind of want to check someplace new, Bugs Comics and Games has all that up on their website. Be sure to give their Facebook page a like. They just tipped over 200 Facebook likes. They've only been open since October. Brand new store, local small business. Want to make sure we support them. So go to their Facebook page. Give the Facebook page, Bugs Comics and Games, a like as well. If you're in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles, O'Fallon area, it's a great place to go. Maybe you're looking for some a new comic book store if you're in that area, or maybe you want to, hey, my kid, I'd love to get him to start collecting comics. I used to do it. It's kind of a bonding thing. Take your kid to Bugs, and Larry's going to be sure to ask you the right questions, make sure you get the right comics that you're looking for. DC, Independent, Marvel, whatever it may be, they've got it. And if they don't, they will order it for you. Larry is great about making sure he puts customer service at the forefront of everything he's doing there at the store. Right there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon. And while you're there, sign up for the Avengers Club. You get a discount on your new comics, your back issues, your supplies, your games, all that kind of stuff. Sign up for the Avengers Club. It's a great way to save some money with the price of everything going up. It'd be helpful to get the price of comics down. You can do that by joining the Avengers Club at Bugs Comics and Games. Once again, check out the website, bugscomicsandgames.com. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. I also want to tell the winner of our trivia contest. The texts were coming in as I was sitting here talking to Jeff, and I totally forgot to look up at the text line. But John, in the 314 area code, you were the first person to correctly identify the movie Steel. Obviously, Shaquille O'Neal played John Henry Irons in that 1997 movie right out of the Superman comics. And so, John, we're going to send you that Funko prize pack. Stay by your phone. As soon as this show's over, I'm going to give you a call to get your address, and we'll get those prizes sent out to you. So thanks very much for listening, and congratulations on winning. Talking with Jeff Smith for another few minutes here about his documentary he's doing, Who Done It?, all about the making of the movie Clue. You can check out the website, ClueDoc, ClueDoc.com. They're very active on Whodunit on Instagram. I noticed you've got a great Instagram feed. Are you like a one-man band, or have you got a team of people working on all this stuff with you, Jeff?
Oh, I wish I had a team. I've had some helpers here and there, but pretty much, I mean, that's why it's been so nice, especially, I'm glad you mentioned the people on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, but mainly Instagram. I should know all of them. They have been great because I have kind of been in this Clue bubble where it's just been me editing, me, producing, me charging the camera, me, going out to meet everybody. So I'll put up just little hints of what I've been doing on YouTube every now and then. And there's a very loyal bunch that always comments and, says very nice things and will say, keep going. This is great. You're doing this. I mean, I do it's a great thing, but it's also a curse. Whenever I post anything up, there's usually one or two like, "When's this coming out?" And I love that. That's my problem. That people really want to see it, and I really want it to be done too, my friends. Believe me. And they've been very patient, and it's taken a long time, but they're all great. So shout out to all you guys that are on the social media, because you really get the batteries charging when it's been a week and I haven't done anything on it, and I'll look and see people commenting and go, okay.
So not to add additional pressure, but do you have a tentative release date, like a month or something like that even?
Oh, you're just like them.
You can just say no comment. That's fine.
I wish I've given a lot of different dates, unfortunately, and I've always meant it every time that it was going to be. The last one I think I gave was February. Now it's almost April, but it's going to be. I've been working on it a lot lately. That's why I kind of felt good about coming on here and talking about it, because we're getting close, and it's going to be. If I hope before summer rolls around, would be nice, but. I've lied before, so Don't trust me, everybody. But that's the goal.
Well, good. And so obviously anyone who is, I take it you and I are probably pretty close in age from the sounds of it. Anyone who is listening right now, if you're not familiar with the movie Clue, maybe you missed your radar when it was out in theaters, or you might be one of my younger listeners and not familiar with how the movie came out. So this was back pre-internet, kids. So take your minds back to 1985, and the movie came out. It was brilliant. 3 different endings, and you didn't know which ending you were going to go see, and we didn't have Twitter to say, LOL, hashtag third ending at Cross Keys Cinema or whatever. So we went to the movies, and we saw the ending and didn't think anything of it, and we were telling a friend about it, and they said, oh, that's not how my movie ended. And that's how we figured out that there were like, what? So then as word of mouth kind of grew, you realized you had to go to a different theater to see all 3 endings. Do you remember, Jeff, which ending you saw first?
Well, I mean, that's a lovely story you just told, but unfortunately a lot of people did not go to the theater to see it a lot of times. Clue was not what you would call a success.
No.
And I think actually when it came out, the endings confused people more than excited them. The idea was you're going to love this movie so much, you're going to go see it 3 times in the theater for the 3 endings. And even John Dunlin, the director, said people saw that and went, I don't know what that means. I'm just not going to see any of them. There was originally the producer of Clue was John Landis, who everybody knows if you know 80s movies.
Sure.
John Landis is a genius. That was his gimmick, and it's perfect for a movie based on Clue because the ending always changes when you play the game. But John Lynn's preferred way for people to see it is the way you now see it when you watch it streaming or on physical media, where all 3 endings play at the same time. So to answer your question, when it came out, I remember seeing the marquee and seeing it. The marquee said Clue, and then there was a little box that had the letter A. And that meant it was ending A. So they would at least kind of clue you in that which one it was. If you'd seen A, you'd go somewhere else, Clue. But it was out of the theater so quick, I did not even see it in the theater. So the first time I saw it, and I was 10 or about to turn 10, was on VHS. And that had all 3 endings on it.
Yeah, my brother and sister are both quite a bit older than me. I'm the baby of the family. My mother says surprise. I know she means accident. But I was 10 years old when the movie came out, and my brother and sister took me to see it around Christmas time.
Yeah,
and we went and saw the ending where every single person killed one of the people. So that was, I guess, the real ending, and we had no idea. And then someone else saw a different one. They said, no, Miss Scarlet killed everybody. And we were like, what? It was crazy.
Yeah, you got the good one. I mean, they're all fine, but that's the best one.
Yeah, then everyone gets I don't want to spoil it for the people who may not have seen it. This is weird, but if you're listening...
You just gave away 2 out of 3 of them. That's fine.
But if you haven't seen it, it's totally worth seeing just for the cast. Such a brilliant cast. I mean, we've got Eileen Brennan, Madeline Kahn, Martin Mull, Michael McKean, Christopher Lloyd, Tim Curry as Wadsworth. It's astonishing. I've heard people say, some people are looking at remaking this movie. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last I heard Ryan Reynolds' production company was looking at remaking it. It makes me so nervous because I don't know how you could make it better.
I don't know. I think I would be happy if Knives Out was just considered the remake, and we're good. Because I thought Knives Out was great.
Yeah,
it had that same kind of feel. We're good. We got it. and now we're going to get 2 more Knives Out movies on Netflix. So everybody calm down. I mean, yeah, Ryan Reynolds was attached to it. Jason Bateman for a while was going to direct it, and then he was gone. I mean, he already did Game Night, so he's good. We don't need that, you know. You guys tiptoed around Clue. You're good.
Yeah, I'd say let it. So you are in the same camp with me that you don't think it needs to be remade.
No, I think some remakes are great, but what's great about Clue is it's an 80s movie that doesn't feel like an 80s movie.
Yeah, it's period. It's set in post-war, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, you won't get a lot of movies now where there's not really – I mean, Tim Curry's the closest. He's the main character. But for the most part, everyone is on equal ground.
I'd say so.
And that doesn't really happen as much anymore.
Yeah, no, it truly is an ensemble cast without a lead per se. Tim Curry is, as you said, probably the closest you could point to a lead in the movie. But it's, it's that cast of 7 and that chemistry. I don't know. I'm not sure if you could recreate that with 6 brand new celebrities today. I haven't seen a movie yet other than maybe Avengers, where they've all kind of had their own solo movies and worked together. It's kind of a different beast completely. Yeah. But
so if they do a Colonel Mustard movie first and then a Professor Plum movie, if you're going to do a remake, all right, let's see the Miss Scarlet movie and then.
Yeah, if you're gonna, that would, I had never thought about it like that, but until you mentioned that, that'd be a very interesting way to do it. Almost like if they'd have to do it like an Amazon series or a Netflix series where, Clue the series, and we get a full Professor Plum episode all about his practice and everything like that, and then we get a full Madeline Kahn. Did she kill her husband? We don't know.
They all have a backstory.
And then you build it up to where, like, if it's a 10 episode arc, then in the 8th episode they all get invited to the house, and then things go down for the last 2 episodes. That's actually brilliant. Hey,
Michael McKean, if you are listening, there you go. You're welcome.
We'll let you be an executive producer, Michael, but it's our baby now.
I've already emailed the day right now, and we're co-writers on this, my friend.
Perfect. I will happily share. That'd be brilliant. Let everyone know where they can keep up with the show, with you on social media, because I know you've got a few different social media accounts across Twitter and Instagram. Let people know where they can keep up with you in this project.
Okay. The easiest way to find all the social medias is through the main website, which you plugged a couple times. Thank you very much. It's ClueDoc, as in documentary, ClueDoc. And then that can take you to the YouTube channel, which we update a lot. Which I update a lot. I've gotten really good at making it sound like there's a bunch of us.
Right.
That I update a lot. Instagram at least once a week with something silly. And Facebook and Twitter on occasion.
And just remember, if you're going to follow him, don't ask him when it's coming out. That's all we ask.
Go ahead. I need the push every now and then. I'd be probably sad if nobody was asking anymore. I'm like, where is everybody?
I can set a Google Calendar to remind you and just kind of press you on it like once a week if that would be helpful.
It might.
But this has been absolutely phenomenal to talk to you. I think it's a great project. I can't wait to see it come to fruition, and I hope it is terribly successful, as I'm sure it will be. Jeff Smith, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Be well.
All right.
There he goes, Jeff Smith. Make sure you check it out. It's ClueDoc, ClueDoc.com. That's going to be a lot of fun when that comes out. We're going to take another quick break. We're going to come right back. I've got a pre-recorded interview with sound engineer, sound director, sound producer Brian Riordan about his project streaming on Peacock, True Story, with Ed and Randall. We'll have that interview coming up right after this. Please stand by.
Great Hera, may the force be with you. This is Susan Eisenberg, voiceover actress, and you are listening to Geek to Me Radio.
One of my very favorite guests ever, Susan Eisenberg. You will have a chance to meet her at Planet Comic Con along with several other members of the Justice League cast. If you want to put Planet Comic Con on your calendar, April 22nd through the 24th. That'll be the next convention that I myself am attending. And if you see me while you're there, make sure you tell me you're a Geek to Me radio listener. We've got stickers and some other assorted goodies to give out to people attending the con who I'm able to run into. Do want to mention also Marcus Theaters, our official movie sponsor. Marcus Theaters just saw The Lost City this past Tuesday there. Great film. I was lucky enough to review it on the John Carney Show with Julie Buck. They were very kind to have me on their show this past Friday afternoon here on the Big 550. I got to talk about that. I love seeing movies at Marcus because it just, you go in there, you plug in, it's the greatest possible way to see a movie. The sound, the picture, the concessions. I've got one of their refillable popcorn. You get the popcorn tub. You pay for that, and then each time you go, it's just $4.50 to refill for the rest of 2020. So next time you go in, ask them about that. You can get that at the concession stand as well. Make sure you enroll in their Magical Movie Rewards program. That way you're getting rewarded for seeing movies and buying your concessions. You get points that you build up towards future purchases. That's always a great thing to do if you can get into a rewards program anywhere. I highly recommend them, believe me. And again, it's just a great time to go see movies. We've got, if you haven't seen The Batman yet, you can go catch that at a Marcus Theater, the one closest to you. Start with the website if you're unsure of the one closest to you. They are all over the country now between the Marcus Theaters and the Movie Tavern locations. So go to the website, marcustheaters.com. Find the location close to you. You can buy your tickets right there. And maybe you're looking for something. I've got a birthday coming up. I'm not saying that any of you guys have to do anything other than keep listening. But if you've got someone who has a birthday coming up, or maybe you've got a significant other who loves movies and you want to kind of do something nice for them for an anniversary or something, rent a private theater at one of these Marcus locations. It's a great way to celebrate whatever you might be celebrating. They usually start just around $99, and you can invite up to 20 people to see a movie, private movie with just a group of your own. It's great. Once again, you can do that through the website as well. MarcusTheaters.com. As we always say, it's the best movie-going experience in the galaxy. I was able to talk to my next guest here a while ago, and we just haven't had time to get it on because I've had live guests coming on. So this was a great opportunity for me to play this next interview. Right now we're talking with sound guru Brian Riordan all about his work on the brand new Peacock streaming series True Story with Ed Randall. We'll talk about his founding and CEO of Levels Audio, how he got into sound. We'll get into all that. Brian, how are you?
Doing great, James. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the time. It's always fascinating to hear because obviously people always talk to the actors and everything like that and the director. It's always fun to hear the behind-the-scenes stuff, like the sound stuff, the composers. I think that's where you guys are really the unsung heroes of all these projects.
Yeah, we're the below the line, behind the curtain.
Right, and you guys are the ones who make it as good as it does. I always like it when you go to see a live show, for example, and people on stage point down to the orchestra because obviously without the sound, they're just running around up there moving their mouth. So yeah,
absolutely.
So with this particular project, well, let's go back a little bit. Let's start with your origin story. Talk a little bit about how you got involved in sound production, sound design, things like that.
Yeah, I started in, I've been a musician since a very young age. So I started playing piano when I was about 5 and guitar when I was about 9, and ultimately ended up studying music composition and arranging at Berklee College of Music and went to 4 years of college there. And all throughout that whole arc from high school, especially through college, I was always recording my own, music, recording friends' music, and really teaching myself the art of engineering and production. I did not necessarily study it in college. It was always just sort of a hobby and a passion of mine. And then I moved to Los Angeles in the mid-'90s, and of course was going to be a big famous rock star in my mind, and then needed to get a job to pay for my apartment and my bills. And I really at that point relied on the skill that I taught myself to be able to put food on the table, and started doing that more and more, and eventually realized, wow, I'm pretty good at this, and I also really like it, and I don't have to go on the road and live out of a tour van. And, it provided a different sort of career path than I ever imagined, but one that I really learned to love, and to this day I'm very grateful for.
And then founding your business, all the work you've done kind of just led you to that point with Levels Audio. Was that out of necessity or just like, hey, I'm doing all this anyway, I might as well be my own boss? How did that come about?
Yeah, I've always had a strong pull, sort gravitational pull towards business and sales and that whole world. I came up in a very business-oriented family, and so witnessed a lot of that from the age of a young child. And so I always wanted to go the creative way and the music direction and not the business side. Mm-hmm. But when I had the opportunity to kind of bring the two together, it really fueled a lot of my inspiration. And I learned that I really love building a business and growing people's careers and doing the sales work with different, building a network full of clients. And that alone wouldn't have been enough. So I also need the creative and technical,
Sure.
side of the engineering. So to this day, I still am a producer engineer, but also run the company and do all of that stuff. So bringing the two together really has been a love of mine.
So with a business-oriented family, was there some eye rolling when you said, I'm going to go out to LA and I'm going to pursue music? Or were they just entirely supportive? How did that go over?
Yeah, no, it definitely was. That crossroads was more difficult when I was in high school and said, I don't want to go to college. I'm
Right.
going to be a rock star. And, those were tough conversations. But ultimately, when I said, all right, I do want to go to college, but I want to study music and I want to only make a profession out of something related to music, I got a lot of support. I was very, very lucky. My parents really understood that that's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do at a very early age. And they supported me. So it was great.
Did you lean on any of them to help you kind of find your footing with the business? Or was it just something that, as far as creating and becoming the CEO, was that something you just kind of picked up as you were watching your family go forward as you were growing up and you already had that kind of layer built in?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I certainly, owe a lot to my father. He's always been a sounding board for me. He's always been a mentor, someone that I've always looked up to and learned a ton from. So, my business is certainly very different than anything that he's been in his career path, which was more in the large corporations, but just a wealth of knowledge and support. So I certainly am grateful for all of that and owe a lot of my company's success to that.
You've got a very impressive pedigree, too. If I'm not mistaken, I think you've received 20 Primetime Emmy nominations. I think the only other person who's come close who I've had on my show is Andrea Romano. But you've got, you're a 2-time Grammy Award winner, 4-time Emmy Award recipient. Are you at the point with all these accolades you've built and you, like you said, you've networked in the business, when a project like this one with True Story with Ed Randall come along, do you have to audition for it? Or is it someone where Peacock comes to you and says, hey, we'd love to have you work on this project with us?
Yeah, it's more personal relationship based at this point. We don't really put together reels. I don't even have a sales team here on my West Coast division. It's all just, we've been doing it a long time. I have an incredible team that has been with me for a very long time, and our work tends to speak for itself in some ways, and our relationships with all of those clients is really the root of our success and their loyalty to us. So for the most part, every now and then we'll have to bid against a job, against some competitors. But we're fortunate that most of our work comes through relationships where they get a show greenlit or they get brought onto a show and they go, well, we're going to go to levels. Yeah.
And for those of you who might be listening, wondering about it, this is he's working on the sound for True Story with Ed and Randall, which is now streaming on Peacock. It's hosted by, you might know, Ed Helms from The Office and, of course, Randall Park from WandaVision. The comedic and heartwarming series highlights everyday Americans as they share their most extraordinary true stories with surprising twists along the way. It's so great to see a series like this because there's always everything seems dark, and you look out your window at the world and it seems like, my goodness, there's clouds everywhere. So when you see a series like this, it really is a refreshing change of pace from not only from some of the TV out there, but from real life stuff. So it's got to be kind of joyful to work on a project like this.
Absolutely. 1,000%. It's so well aligned with, the timing of everything that, we really need to have content that doesn't create always more anxiety and more depression. And, it's really heartwarming show. It's everyday stories recreated in such a fun and lighthearted and comedic way. There's also really wide range of diversity on the show. It really checks all the boxes for me as a viewer. So it was a treat to work on.
And all the guest stars in this, I mean, you've got Terry Bradshaw, Mindy Sterling, who I adore, Shannon Woodward, Terry Crews. Was there anyone on the guest list when you're, I guess, are you on set at all when you're doing all this for the sound, or is it all post stuff that you're doing on your end?
Yeah, I am not on set on most shows that we do. These shows have been shot and edited, and then they come to us for all of the audio-related stuff in our studios here. So I didn't have the pleasure of going on set. Sometimes I'll be invited and just go for fun, but I don't have much of a role, and I try to stay out of everyone's way in those situations.
And all the stuff you've worked on throughout your career, too. I mean, this project you're currently doing is very cool, but there's all these other... You worked with Mariah Carey, Samuel L. Jackson, Tom Petty, George Clooney, Britney Spears. Were there ever early on when you're working with some of these top talent, ever a case of nerves? And do you remember one being worse than another as far as, oh my gosh, I'm working on this person's thing?
Yeah, there's often nerves, but they're not usually related. I've been doing this long enough that I feel confident in my work, but there's always those personality issues, Yeah. So the nerves usually come from, man, are these people going to be nice? Are they going to be in a bad mood? Are they going to be abusive? What am I walking into, or what's walking into my home more than anything? So, and it's a large percentage, I don't want to say 50%, but a large percentage of what I do is psychology. So dealing with directors and producers and high profile talent, whether it's singers or, musical artists or big actors, it's always figuring out that really delicate balance between, doing your job, but also making it fun and lighthearted, or just shutting up and not, letting them control the thing. It's really a air traffic control type of situation in every one of those events. And each person comes in with a different bag of circumstances. So being able to quickly read those scenarios and be able to play off them has become a critical requirement in what I do.
An impressive array of projects already under your belt. We mentioned all the awards and accolades, owning your own business. When in your career did you feel, whether it be a certain project that you worked on when it was you founded Levels, or when was it you felt like, you know what, I'm successful at what I do? When did that feeling hit you? And we're going to come right back at the answer to that question in just one moment. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hi, this is Jonathan Katz, and you are listening to Geek to Me Radio. If you recognize my voice, it's probably from Dr. Katz, Professional Therapist, unless I was standing behind you at CVS.
And we're back. Geek to Me Radio every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I want to make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. The website, of course, discoverstcharles.com. Always putting on some kind of great festival. There's always something going on out in St. Charles. Whether you're here locally or if you're outside the greater St. Louis area, I encourage you to check out the website and maybe plan a trip to come visit this historic place with these great shopping and dining options, a lot of stuff to see and do. There's always something going on, which makes it so much fun to be part of this community. Once again, check out the website, discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com for an historically good time. Chatting here for the rest of this hour, my pre-recorded interview, I should say, with sound engineer Brian Riordan. Right before we took that commercial break, I'd asked him about when in his career that he truly felt like he had made it?
The feeling finally hit me when I grew enough careers and hired enough people that the company felt really strong, even if I wasn't in the trenches. I'm still in the trenches, but it always felt like in order for me to pull this off and have it make a really strong foundation for my life, and it doesn't 100% rest on my shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, how do I get from a place where everyone wants to work with you of your client base? How do I get them to work with other people and know that and train those people to become better than me and build something that is larger than just me? And that's where I started to go, you know what? I've got something special. I've built something special, and 100% of that lies in my team. That's just the honest truth. Without my team, I've got nothing.
And we mentioned how this project, this particular one on which you're working now, or I guess you're done working on it now, but it's out streaming now on Peacock. True Story with Ed Randall is very feel good. It's an upbeat type of show. Talking about upbeat, you've got your nonprofit that you run, Hollywood Compassion Coalition. Talk a little bit about that if you could.
Absolutely. I started a nonprofit a few years back. We're still in a pretty the early stages, but basically the mission behind it is to bridge the gap between science and content creation. So learning about the effects of content, how they're impacting, right now with social media, with streaming media, you're reaching now. When I finish a show and we're the last stop on the bus, it's reachable by 190 some countries. That was never even a realm of possibility 10 years, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And what are the social impacts of that on a global level? What are we doing? We're putting all this food, this sort of content I'm looking at as a metaphor. We're putting all this food on the plate, and now that food is reaching 190 plus countries. What is the social responsibility? What are we capitalizing on setting the right intentions and what we're looking at, positive ways of weaving in compassion-based things and altruistic behavior, and how do we get the content creators to infuse some of these moments even into a dark story, and how do we gather enough data and launch enough studies to really be looking at control groups and things of this nature at how long do these things last? If you walk out of a theater and feel really inspired, what were those moments that the story was told that did that, and how long do they last? And is that something that spreads? Is that water cooler conversations that then has sort of, that ripple in the water that spans outward? And we're looking at all of these things, and we're really building what we like to think of as a movement, starting in Hollywood, but a movement that's really looking at inspiring positive social change through television and film.
And it's amazing, too, to think of how much technology has changed just since you moved to Hollywood in sound and visual effects, in streaming services like Peacock and things like that, and all these people who are able to shoot entire movies on their iPhones. That's even more content that's out there streaming to more places. It's hard to think about how far the industry has come in just the past 10 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wildly, the technology has far surpassed our consciousnness, and there's definitely people that have said this before me, but if we don't evolve consciously at least a 16th of the pace at which we're evolving technologically, we're in for a real rough world. It's time to raise our consciousness.
I agree. And if you're listening right now and would like to find out more information, the website is HollywoodCompassionCoalition.org. We will have a link to that. If you're listening to this online, go down to the show notes at the bottom. We'll have a link to Brian's nonprofit there where you can check out that and get more information. obviously, with True Story now wrapped, is there anything else you're working on that you're able to talk about?
Yeah, we've got quite a few things going in the hopper at all times. A lot of it I'm under NDAs because if it's upcoming and we're not on it, we're not free to talk about or sort of plug. But we do have, a large plethora of episodic stuff that we work on. We've been working on for many, many years. We do The Voice, we do American Idol and America's Got Talent, a lot of those sort of shows. We have a lot of concerts going on broadcast in various different areas. We're doing a lot of Dolby Atmos mixing now, which is more of sort of like the 3D immersive audio experience. So we're doing that for artists, for their music, for their records, but we're also doing it for concerts on streaming media platforms. So yeah, we've got it. We got a lot of documentary series going with Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and just various different outlets. We've got it's a very exciting time because there's more content being created than ever before and we're loving every minute of it.
Absolutely, and it's a good time to be in that creative field, like you said, with all this stuff. I know during the pandemic, a lot of projects still had to have the post-production stuff done, so that's one of those things where at least I'm sure you were still fairly busy, I would hope, during the pandemic.
I'll tell you, man, we certainly felt the pandemic. It was a tough situation, but we had a different pill to swallow than a lot of people, and I feel very blessed that it worked out that way. But we were busier than ever when the pandemic hit, and we had to move everyone off site. I had to build home studios overnight. And it was at a time when we were never as busy as that. So, when the world is falling, the sky is falling, it's Armageddon, and now you're asking your whole team to work 7 days a week, 15-hour days. It's hard to wrap your head around that in that moment. So it was a tough situation. We did slow down at some point. Eventually, we mixed everything that had been in the queue, and then everything halted and we couldn't shoot anything else. But even during that, we were blessed to be able to do a lot of these home concerts where artists were in their bedrooms, and all of that stuff still needed to be mixed. And we did a lot of fundraising, pandemic awareness raising and vaccine awareness raising, multicast, simulcast shows. A lot of that stuff just kept us busy. And then with being non-scripted being a large part of our bread and butter and our market capture, that stuff came back online a lot quicker than the scripted series, where it was a lot harder to get actors and actresses to come in a room and be in close quarters during the middle of, the beginning of the pandemic and even during Delta. So it certainly impacted us, but it could have been way worse, and I feel very fortunate.
That's all you can ask, especially in the business of Hollywood, when things that can be a roller coaster. But it sounds like you've got a very sturdy foundation, and what an incredible time to be in your business with, like you said, with all the technology and all the amazing people you've gotten to work with. If people want to keep up with you, are you very active on social media or anything like that?
I wish I could say yes, and I'd like to commit to being better about it. But it's not something I'm great at. I don't do much of it. I've got my team here that helps me plug the company a little bit. But on social media, I kind of just have my private little network on Facebook, and that's about it. I am pretty active on LinkedIn, mostly just to stay current on what's happening on the business side of things, and try to keep as many relationships going as possible with both my peers and with other people in the industry. So that's about it on the social media side.
Brian Riordan of Levels Audio. Again, you can catch Peacock's streaming show, True Story with Ed Randall. And again, we'll have the link to Brian's nonprofit, HollywoodCompassionCoalition.org, in the show notes. Brian Riordan, this has been an absolute delight to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing your time today.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it very much.
That's going to do it. Make sure you stick around for Max on Movies. He has his reviews coming up of The Lost City as well as his reviews of Deepwater and Stay tuned for Max on Movies. Until next week, my friends.
When you make Game of Thrones references, that's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, St. Louis. Good night.
Hey kids, are your parents about to buy you a shiny new toy from Amazon?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Well, don't be selfish. Share some of that money with us. Before going on Amazon, make sure to type in bit.ly/geek2me in the web browser. It will look just like Amazon.com, except it'll say referral Geek to Me Radio up top. And then when you check out, a tiny percentage will go to support the show without costing you 1 cent more. So before your parents get you that gizmo, gadget, or widget, make sure they type in bit.ly/geek2me in the web browser.
Bit.ly/geek to me. Bit.ly/geek to me.